Happy Friday, everyone. My God, what a week it has been. We've just finished our premiere of Viewscream. That was an amazing story. If you haven't seen it already, please do check it out and let us know what you think. We had a lot of fun recording that, and we didn't really know what to expect, but I'm so proud of how it turned out, and we're definitely going to play more. What else? Had a bunch of stuff arrive in the mail. As you can see, we still haven't moved house, so thankfully it all arrived in the right place. And yeah, now we are here. So, with Devious Dungeons, Foreboding Forests, and the Coolest Cat, singular. My name is Phil, and welcome to the Dark Orb. And here we are. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. I'm super excited about the projects that we're going to be talking about today. Let me know what you think of the things that we're going to be discussing tonight. And if you've already backed them, let me know. If you are excited about things that the creators have done before, let us know what those games are, what those products are. If you're watching live, please do keep those comments coming in. And with that in mind, I'm going to butcher this name, but Clury Galma, hello, very pleased to welcome you to our stream. Really, really great to see you. Thank you for your support. Yeah, it's been such a cool week. As I said, we played Viewscream. It was really, really fun. I've been meaning to get that to the channel for forever, and the time opened up. So that was really, really cool. We've got 3 projects that are all from pretty well-established creators today. We've got something in the City of Mist universe, if you like, set in a cyberpunk world, using a very sort of similar engine to City of Mist, which either you love or you hate. I have got some feelings about that, but I will try and separate those from my excitement for the game itself, which we'll talk about in a minute. We've got Shield Maidens, which looks really interesting. Vikings and cyberpunk. Yeah, there's 2 cyberpunk things that we're talking about this time around. Yeah, I think it's really cool, actually. I don't quite love the art, which is a surprise because it's very similar to some other art that I really like in games. But I think it's actually a really interesting game, and it'll be a lot of fun. And finally, we have another product by Adam Vass. Yeah, I think I'll wait until we get to that page before I talk about it. I'm struggling to get my head around it. Never played Necronautilus. I remember the Kickstarter campaign for that and trying to get my head around it, and it was too out there for me. But this is really cool, and it looks amazing. So maybe we should start with the first one on the docket, shall we? What do you guys think? Should we start with Tokyo? I think we should. Let's start with Tokyo OTHERSCAPE. Let's have a look. So, boom. Tokyo OTHERSCAPE. Let me go over to my other screen here. So, Tokyo OTHERSCAPE is by City of Mist RPG, Son of Oak rather. Amit Moshe. Apologies, I may have butchered your name there. So, I've got City of Mist. It's an incredible, incredible game. I've only managed to get it to the table once, and I'll admit that we kind of struggled with the system. We really did. It's super easy. It really is a very easy, very elegant system. But for the kind of people we had at the table, it was actually a bit of a challenge. Let's talk about that in a minute. First of all, I think it's worthwhile us having a look at the Kickstarter video for this, because I think it's great. I think this looks like a real load of fun. And this is a cut down version of City of Mist's rule set as well, so it might flow a little bit better at the table. Let's take a look. What do you all think? I think it's a really lovely art style. I mean, the one thing that we do know, and let me just make this all a little bit bigger again. One thing that I do know is that one of the primary artists on this is Isago Fukuda, who is an anime artist. I'm not familiar with the manga that he has drawn. I would say anime, probably just manga. But I really do like the style. Let's have a look at this. You know, the colors are really vibrant. You can see that there is a real trueness to the manga aesthetic, which I think is wonderful. The actual concept itself, from what I can tell, is very much taking the City of Mist concept of mythoi, of legends, and how they can imbue everyday people, and kind of flipping it on its head a little bit in terms of where in City of Mist everything is kind of hidden because we don't really want normal people to know that these myths are here in this city. My interpretation of what's happening with OTHERSCAPE is actually that it doesn't quite matter so much because there's so much noise going on that maybe people aren't paying attention anyway. It's not really such an issue. And this campaign is actually for the core book, which is Metro OTHERSCAPE, you can see on the right here, and for the setting or the book, which is, I believe, the Tokyo OTHERSCAPE. So the idea being that you can actually use that core book, the Metro OTHERSCAPE, for whatever you want. It's got a cut down, as I said before, rule set compared to City of Mist, but it's still very much City of Mist based. And that first rule scenario setting that comes with it is that cyberpunk kind of game, which is really cool. But it does take it a little bit further. Let me just see if I can grab the I can't quite recall where it is here, but I do actually want to read out a little bit from it because I think it's really interesting. Oh yeah, so we've got the Metro OTHERSCAPE book, which is a setting guide for the entire OTHERSCAPE universe. Information about mythoi, which is the legends that you have in City of Mist as well, and the noise, which I think we'll get to in a bit. Play, which is the rules for City of Mist Reloaded, and learn as you play reading segments, which is great. And that's really useful because it's a straightforward system. At least the original rule set is very straightforward, but we found it actually a little bit challenging to make it flow. Particularly, and I mentioned this in the intro, particularly because actually everyone at the table is pretty much a role player who likes to, trying to think of a way to do this, a way to explain this. We like to embody our characters and not be bound by what's in the character sheet. And with City of Mist, we actually found, and in fact, one of my players, Eric, really great to see you. One of my players, another different player, kind of pointed out that they spent most of their time kind of scouring their rule book, their playbook, their character sheets, to find ways to enhance their role, because you have your kind of core stats, which are made also from tags that you have on your character sheet. And in fact, there is a character sheet I can show you on this page, I believe. I was going to do some crazy scrolling. Yeah, here we go. So you have these tags, and each one of these sort of settings has additional tags on it, and you basically, if you can think of a way to do an action that enables you to put several things together, like she's an eel princess, she's a scavenger, she's looking for a certain character, and she's a deep delve scanner. So you might find a way to say, I'm a scavenger and I've got this scanner and I'm trying to find out this information. So you'd add these two tags to your dice roll. But it can work the wrong way, and that you end up spending more time trying to game that rather than it becoming natural. And I guess as you get into your character, you know what's on your sheet. You don't necessarily need to read from there. And I guess it's very similar with any other role-playing game, but this felt quite, even though it's powered by the Apocalypse based, it felt quite unintuitive for us, I think, at the table. Eric, great to see you. Eric's asking what my final verdict of City of Mist was. Well, you were in the games that we recorded, and we didn't complete that session due to various challenges, real-world challenges, really. And I don't know, it felt really hard to get back to it. So I really, really love the setting for City of Mist. I don't love the system, But I actually think that this might bring something to the table that is really, really cool. And I'm inclined to suggest, if you're interested in cyberpunk and you like Powered by the Apocalypse, this is really worth checking out. I wanted to talk a little bit about the setting. Here we go. In OTHERSCAPE, you play a crew of specially trained mercenaries operating as freelance, masterless Ronins or working initially for a megacorp, crime syndicate, or a government agency. Like everyone in your field, you seek, obtain, and employ items, place, and knowledge that give you vital, albeit tentative, mythical abilities. Your missions range from, this is what I really like, from securing a sacred shrine in ruined megacity sectors to assassinating a rival crime syndicate, seer. On your path are bloodthirsty Oni, ghosts that inhabit cyberspace, and demon-powered tanks. To survive, you can call upon the ancient kami, the gods that gave you their blessing, perforate the yokai guarding the defiled temple with runic rounds, or just trust your gut feeling and double-cross your operator before they do you in. But there was something that really appealed to me, which I'm going to try and find, about the concept of hacking. Because this is a cyberpunk game, right? So what happens if you want to hack as a hacker? What happens to your fellow colleagues? What do they do? I mean, is it the case that you as a character, you're going to spend 10 minutes doing all these dice rolls whilst your fellow players are out, kind of protecting the place that you're at because you've broken into this, I don't know, this mega corporation's head office and you're in the server room, right? Well, that hacking would all be done kind of lightning fast, maybe, if you've got a neural jack. And so time is going to deviate. But what they've actually come up with is this idea of dungeoneering in cyberspace, which is the coin that they've put up here at the top here. Cyberpunk tabletop RPGs face a problem where the whole crew has to wait while the hacker works their way through a cyberspace mini-adventure. In OTHERSCAPE, the hacker can take some or all of the crew members with them, harnessing their mind's computational power, so basically assisting with the challenge, and having them face challenges in a VR environment. I just love this spin. I haven't seen it elsewhere. Maybe it's there. I haven't played an awful lot of cyberpunk style games in a really long time, and not very many times either. But by doing this, penetrating a firewall could be experienced as combat, tracing an enemy hacker could be experienced as a chase, and locating and exploiting a backdoor could be experienced as an infiltration mission. Cyberspace becomes a new frontier for the entire crew, and with Kami and Yokai inhibiting the future communication matrix, magic itself crosses over to the virtual. I just kind of think that's really cool that they're making you think about that up front. Let's go back and have a look at some of this artwork, and then we can have a look at the actual pledge level. So let me just catch up with the comments first, though, because we do have some live comments coming in. So Eric says, that's what happens in Shadowrun. You play a mini game with a DM while the rest of the party sticks around for like 30 minutes. Yeah, that sounds sucky. I always wanted to play Shadowrun. I have loads of friends who played it when I was at college, and I was playing Vampire, as probably most of you know, and therefore I was busy in other games. I never got back to it. The latest version looks amazing. I really love the collector's edition of that, but it always seems to be on discount, and there's a reason for that, I think. But yeah, I'm never going to run it. I'll play it one day probably, but from what I gather, it's quite crunchy, and I don't have enough time in my brain for that. Yoel, thank you very much for joining us. Yeah, the rest of the party goes off for pizza. Exactly that. Yeah, Eric, so I think it is a somewhat narrative game. You do still have combat in there. It's very much, I think, more storytelling focused than perhaps City of Mist felt like it was. They've maybe put a little bit more thought into the structure of it. We should have a look at the art, because the art is actually really impressive. So let me just embiggen the screen again. Whoop, there we go. Right, let's go back up to the top. I'm going to skim through these because I'm aware that we have a limit of time. But let's talk about not only the art, but also the pledge levels, because we're at that part of the page. So for $29 you get everything on PDF, which is pretty fair, for to get everything for 29 bucks. I think is fine. You don't get the City of Mist for that, but you get all of the cyber stuff, access to the app and whatever stretch goals they've got available in digital, and you get Metro, which is that setting, sorry, the core rule book, and then Tokyo, which is the setting book for the cyberpunk stuff. For $49, you get the Metro OTHERSCAPE, so that core rulebook. And you can see some of the art here. It's really, really nice. And $69 gets you the core rulebook, which we just talked about, and also the setting book for OTHERSCAPE, for Tokyo OTHERSCAPE, which is, again, it's only $20 more. They're both hardcover. So we've spent more on less. Having bought Genesis recently, and you know, before all the sales happened, on purpose, that was a kind of a I wanted to make sure that I could get everything before it disappeared. So yeah, that was a lot of money. So this is considerably cheaper and is very pretty and will be good fun. Then there's the box set, which actually again is not priced that high. It's $99. You get the 2 hardcovers. You get the character folios, which is 5 pre-gen character sheets. I'd love to show you the City of Mist ones because they're really beautiful and it's very much in the same styling. It's US letter or possibly A4, but it's actually, when you open it out, it's twice that. I don't know if there's a paper measurement for twice US letter. I don't know, US quarter poster maybe, or I don't know. In Europe we use A4 and then it goes to A3, which would be the one up, and it's whatever US letter is doubled because you open it up, and it's really nice to play from. Theoretically white clean, I'm not sure it really is, but they are certainly workable for playing at the table with. And I think there's going to be a bunch of other stuff in here like dice and cards and tag cards and that sort of stuff, all in a nice box set you can put on the shelf, a bit like your Savage Worlds box sets for Deadlands and things like that. If you don't have City of Mist and you're interested to get the whole set, then it's $299. It's a big jump to go from just getting the OTHERSCAPE stuff to getting everything, but you get a lot. The City of Mist is quite a well-established RPG now. There's a lot of stuff for it. It's really heavy, as in it weighs a lot because there's so much. There's a couple of books, or a couple of slipcases of hardcover books, rule books, setting books, and a campaign, plus the folios, plus I think you'll probably get maps. I think that's what we got up in the top right of the screen there, and a starter set, and there's a lot. It really is. So that's what you get there. I did promise we were going to look at the art, so I'm just going to scroll down so we can see what we've got there. Oh yeah, these are the custom dice, which are really funky. They are D6s, but they are in D12 form, so they roll better. They did the same for the City of Mist dice, but you only had 2 different colours for that, whereas they've put 3 colours on here, representing Mythos, Self, and Noise. Tracking cards. So these tags will be, you could be something like you are empowered in some way, or you are hindered in some way, like you could be wounded, and your tag here will give you your boon or your burden, effectively, how much that helps or hinders you when you're doing a dice roll that is related to that tag. So for example, if you're exhausted, then you might not be able to do certain types of tasks. If you're stressed out, because you can literally write anything in that tag name, if you're stressed out, you might be fine to be running, because it might actually improve your ability to run away from something because you are stressed and therefore your adrenaline is way up. But you might find that if you then have to do some really complex maths, that you can't act that well under pressure because you're stressed and you can't focus. It's a nice system. It's just we were challenged with it a little bit. Yeah, some of the artwork. So check that out. It's really nice. And so these are some of the character types you could have. Owned cyborg, only gun lugger. I was going to say gunslinger then. Il yokai scavenger, Shikigami hacker, Horishi summoner, rather, Aztec jaguar sicario, Onmyoji detective, Sufi freedom fighter. So it's kind of fun. I really do like the settings. And yeah, we looked a little bit about this character sheet before. You can see here it kind of folds in the middle. And yeah, the whole idea here is that you have these 4 themes, which we kind of touched on earlier, and they all have tags on them. If you don't pay attention to them, if you go against something that's central to that theme, you could actually lose it, and then that will be replaced by something else. We talked about noise earlier on, so you have theme cards that will basically belong to one of three types of theme. Mythos, which is your legend. So it could be, I'm just going to pick something out of thin air. It could be Neo. Maybe your legend is Neo from the Matrix movies. Yourself is who you really are. So you could be actually a reporter for a newspaper. And then noise. And this represents how enhanced you are in this cybernetic world. So you could have a neural link, or you could have a cybernetic eye, or something like that. Or drones this here. So maybe you've literally got a drone that you can control through your neural uplink or something, and you can gain or lose these, and which makes your character progress in unexpected ways. Actually, this GIF here shows this column here potentially changing because you've done something that's against that theme, if you like. Artwork, lots of funky artwork, and there are some interviews and previews and stuff like that. I think it's really cool. I think it's definitely worth looking at. I'm just going to catch up with the comments. Richard, great to see you, Richard. Is it really true that the party has to wait? Can you not cut? This is God, Shadowrun, I guess. Can you not cut between scenes? That said, this sounds like an interesting idea to mechanically help with this issue. Eric says, I hope you're reading those Genesis books. I look forward to you running a game. I really do want to put the Genesis on the stream. I really do. I haven't started reading them yet. In fact, I don't have access to them right now, along with everything else that showed up in the last week, like Ruins of Symbaroum, etc. They all had a bunch of stuff arrive, and we've straight away taken it to storage. So thankfully no one knows where my storage is, because there are a couple of funky items there. The Genesis will happen. There are a lot of us that really want to play it. So yeah, I just need to spend some time on it. We'll talk about it in the after party. And in fact, yeah, that's something to be mindful of. It's Friday night, and we have a Twitch show right after this at 9 PM UK time, where hopefully some of our patrons will turn up, and we'll just talk about all sorts of things. What the stuff that we got in the mail, about TV shows or movies that we've watched recently. So there might be some spoilers there, but we do try and give warning for anyone who's watching in the comments who really doesn't want to have spoilers thrown at them. You can type in the comments, hey, no, I haven't watched that yet, and we'll respect that. So come and check that out in 35 minutes. We'll have some fun. Right. We've talked about this wonderful looking game, Metro Otherworld, Tokyo Otherworld. What do you think? Are you going to back it? Let us know in the comments. Come and talk to us on Discord. The link is down there. In fact, let me just do this the other way. There we go. The link is down there. Come and talk to us on Discord. We're open to everyone for that. And I'd be really interested to know your thoughts on this game. I think it's actually going to be a lot of fun. If you can get your head around the system, which I think just requires a lot more play than we did for City of Mist. Once it's second nature, I think it's going to be great. Let us move on to Shield Maidens. Shield Maidens is a game that I'm very intrigued by, and in fact I thought very long and hard about whether or not to back it. Moving house for me actually is a priority, so I'll probably just do something like back this at the lowest pledge and then hopefully get in on the pledge manager, but that's because of my commitments. That's got nothing to do with the quality of the game. Let's take a look, shall we? There we go. Let's roll the trailer. enough of that. So yeah, it's a Viking cyberpunk tabletop role-playing game, as we can see there. It's an interesting idea. The 9 realms are dying. Only the Shield Maidens can save them now. You are daughter of Freya, blessed by the divine. It's your task to free Yggdrasil, the world tree, from the tyrannical forces that control the greatest source of power, Ymir's blood. Elves, again elves, always elves, have been ripping worlds apart for it, and Fenrir is killing Midgard with their constant drilling. Lifeblood of the world is almost spent. Shield Maidens are the only thing that stands between spring and Fimbulwinter. I heard that term before, but I've not read any sort of Viking stuff in a really long time. You meet all manner of mythical and technological figures through your journey on the Bifrost, and you alone can save them. So the concept is that basically, I think this is very specifically gender geared, that there are empowered women who are effectively, I guess, Valkyries, who are off on one trying to save the world. Sorry, Sanjuro, great to see you, my friend. Viking resistance, do they all speak in French accents and wear horned berets? That would be amazing. Hello, I'm a Viking. I'm here to save the world. I mean, you know, I would love to play a game where we just did that the whole time, but I'm sure that some people would be offended. Apologies if you are indeed French and sensitive to my terrible accent. It's not personal. The artwork on this is astounding. In some ways, I don't quite like the style. I think it maybe is a little too over-sexualized, which coming from me, and considering I like things like cult, is actually probably a huge insult, and I apologize for that. But I don't know, there's something about it that doesn't quite work for me, but it is a really lovely, you know, the quality is there. See? And then you have this. I mean, this reminds me a little bit of Bastion Lecouf's work, which I love, so not quite sure why I don't like it here. I'm just going to scroll through some of this art, because I actually think it's worth seeing. I think there's a little bit left. Or am I making that up? Oh yeah, then it just goes to talk about Mongoose's other projects. So this is a Mongoose publishing game. They made Paranoia, they made Traveller, and a couple of other things. They're available as add-ons. The system itself, though, is not, by the look of it, like the life path system. You know, it doesn't look to me like you're going to die after 19,000 hours of character generation because your character accidentally trod on a scorpion at some point in their mid-30s and were envenomated to death. The system itself also does look like it's hopefully very simple. You roll a couple of d6s. You add, I think it's a trait and sub-trait. Let me see. I think that's what they called it. Skill and sub-skill, sorry. And that's your standard test. 2d6 plus your skill plus your sub-skill. So a little bit like you've got your skills and sub-skills in Year Zero engine. You add those two, and you know that gives you your dice pool. Here, you add those numbers onto your roll. And there's a difficulty for the test. 7 plus for a standard, 11 plus for another. And that's your challenge. If, as a Shield Maiden, though, you have to use your Guardian shield as well, because you're carrying a shield, then there is a risk of a complication. So that can be a boon or a curse, depending on the circumstances. But effectively, the example given here is, what if you are trying to bash down a door? And you run in Captain America style, and you kind of charge at the door. You roll a d... instead of 2d6, you roll... I'm not sure if it's... Oh, yes. Instead of 2d6s, you roll a d6 and a d8. If that d8 happens to land on 8, then the shield... there's a term for it. I'm trying to work out. A flare. The shield gives off a flare, which kind of signals that you are blessed with some kind of divine power. And it is impossible for you to see that. It's the kind of divine power that sets things on fire, that can be seen for miles and miles and miles. So in the event that you're trying to show off your might in some sort of brawl, and you kind of shield bash someone, and it throws them back, and it sets the buildings around you on fire, and you're now going, hey, you know, I'm a badass, screw you. that's great. That then will give you a huge amount of kudos from people around you. It's going to make the enemies behind you stagger a little bit, behind the person you've hit stagger a little bit, and they'll think twice about attacking you. If, on the other hand, you're trying to break open that door, and the whole purpose of this operation is to be as stealthy as possible, you're breaking into a highly guarded area, and suddenly that entire room is on fire, and everyone, you know, in short distance that isn't a Shield Maiden is temporarily blinded, and there's this huge noise of, you know, the hammer of Thor coming down. That's kind of going to ruin your stealth operation quite a lot. So I actually think that's a really, really fun idea. You have to think twice about whether or not it's worth it, but sometimes you might actually have to do that in order to succeed at the task. Yours says, goddamn Mongoose abusing of Norse mythology, and I thought Marvel did it bad. Yeah, I know, I agree. But at the same time, at least they're doing something relatively original, which I quite like. Now, they do say that this is a kind of mixture of cyberpunk and Norse mythology. 5 centuries ago, Freya created the Shield Maidens. Women took from Midgard the greatest technology they could find, and the goddess imbued it with magic. Tasked to save the universe from the chaos of Ragnarök, this first generation of Shield Maidens were dauntless. Shield Maidens were dauntless in their role, taking the fight directly to Fenrir. Hubris left branded them as terrorists. Then it goes on to say consolidated power over humanity. Midgardian sun was shutting down. See, the challenge I've got is I want to spot where it becomes cyberpunkian. After 500 years, the Shield Maiden's cause is dire. They must cease the ravaging spread of Ragnarök and turn their wheel of ages once more. Must convince other inhabitants of the 9 realms of the importance of their task. I don't know. From reading, and I appreciate I've been dotting backwards and forwards through this, but from reading that and the actual prose that's here without looking at the quick start, which I have looked at actually, and it's very interesting. It's hard to know what the cyberpunk style of it, cyberpunk side of it is, other than just that the artwork is kind of glowy and funky. So maybe it's more just to do with that and the setting, and and an explanation of the magic as high tech or something. What do you think? Are you backing it? Would you back it? What are your thoughts on the artwork? It's Mongoose. Mongoose do some great stuff, and they have done for a long time. I mentioned before that they've got other projects that they've made before. The ones that you're going to know are Traveller and Paranoia, but I'm sure they've done some other stuff that you've probably played, or at least seen on the shelf. Eric says a hard pass. Interesting. Oh, but you did say also that you're all Vikinged out, and I totally get that. Pirates are very much back in at the moment as well. We just obviously had Pirate Borg Limithron, which looks incredible. I backed out from that in the end purely because for me, Pirates is not something that I have an inclination to run. I would absolutely love to play it though. And I think I'm in a similar boat with this game. Personally, I'm not sure I would run it, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun with the right GM. Pricing is not too bad either, and we should probably talk about that. I do recommend that you check out the free download. In fact, I tell you what, I'm going to put that in the background, and let's see if we have time. We can have a quick look at that in a second. Pricing wise though, for £1 you can say hello, thanks very much. 15 quid you get the PDF of the training guide. It shows everything you need to become a Shield Maiden. 35 you get the Shield Maiden training guide, a full colour hardback showing you everything you need to know to create a Shield Maiden. So I think that's the training guide as the core book, basically. 40 quid gets you PDF of the training guide and the Game Master's guide. Okay, so they've split that out. So you have the player guide and the GM guide. It's not the first time they've done that, to be fair. And yeah, so many books do that. It's not a problem. And they look like they're pretty big. So PDF 40 quid gets you both of them. 75 quid gets you both of them. Hang on. Oh yeah, 40 quid gets you both of them as PDFs. 75 quid gets you both of them in physical full color hardbacks. Got there in the end. Probably need another drink. and then £100. If I was saying dollars earlier on, sorry, I'm so used to these projects being in displayed in dollars. You get both of those books. You get a bunch of dice, 14d6s, 6d8s, some monster recognition cards, whatever the heck they are. I'm sorry, I haven't read that bit. And an ambient album and CD, which actually I don't think is bad, considering free shipping worldwide. Now, that actually is a huge thing. I don't know if that's also including tax. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe you're going to have to pay tax on them. Let's face it, it's books, so the tax shouldn't be that high. If they're doing free shipping, hopefully they're also doing the handling charge on that, but you might have to pay that. So in the UK, you're looking at maybe £12 or so. I think that the fact that it's free shipping is a huge blessing for this project, because it's not the cheapest project out there. Oh yeah, and then if you're a retailer, there's a pledge there as well. And I've just realised I've left that on a bustier, of course, the whole time. I didn't even notice because I was reading the words. It doesn't happen very often that I read the words. I do like the look of it. I think it'll be a bunch of fun to play. And I do think it's worth checking out. Yeah, exactly. Look, anywhere in the world, dollars. Eric's just recently finished a campaign on Kickstarter. He knows exactly what that means in terms of cost. Rain and Blood, actually, it's that Kickstarter. I do suggest that, Eric, let us know in the comments, but I do believe that it's possible to late pledge on that. If you like Vampire the Masquerade, but you're a Mothership GM and you haven't seen Rain and Blood, you got to look at Rain in Blood, R-A-N-E, in Blood. So, nice little plug for you there, sir. Yeah, I think this is going to be fun. I think if you've got the right GM, it's going to be cool. But having the right GM for it is going to be the key. I did promise that we'd have a look very quickly at the PDF. So let me just load that up. I'm just going to do that as well. So you can get an idea. Hang on, let me do that as well. There we go. So I just change the aspect ratio a little bit on this. We get an idea of what we're looking at. So it's very, very pretty. The layout is nice and simple, which is good. There are a lot of games out there where there's art over function, which I really value a lot. I've got a lot of very art heavy books, but that actually are badly laid out to the point of not being very readable without that being on purpose, if that makes sense. So it's one thing to go the MÖRK BORG route and intentionally make something that's a little bit hard to focus on and then actually give the rule sets in the back because you recognize that you want it to be a playable game. It's another thing just to be kind of bad at layout and not at least do a little bit of digging into style cues and how to make things flow. You know, because it's not hard to make something that is at least usable. But yeah, I think this looks pretty enough. There's a lot of skills and sub-skills, which is something that I was a bit concerned about because as a GM, you kind of want to know all of them. So there's the... Oh, this is kind of hard to navigate. The inline PDF viewer is not behaving very well. Your Shield Galder. I can't quite... Galder, there we go. So that's your shield, I guess. It's interesting. I'd imagined a more traditional shield. And then there's all the different... Oh, okay, so here you go. You have your different plugins for your shield, I guess. Yeah, power-ups and stuff. I do like it. It's worth checking out. Have a look at the PDF. And make your mind up. I'd love to get the authors on for a chat because I think it looks really cool. So, yeah. Not much more I can say about it. It's if you like Vikings and you like cyberpunk and you want a game to play that's a bit of both, then check out Shield Maidens. It's on for a little while longer. I think it's probably at least 2 or 3 weeks, if not more. 22 days to go. So 3 weeks left on that one. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Oh yeah, and by that virtue also, Tokyo OTHERSCAPE has got 27 days left on it. I did forget to mention that. We're rattling through, and the last one is something that I haven't quite got my head around in terms of setting. Adam, if you see this show and you want to come on and talk about it, then that would be really cool. Soulburner RPG. Let me just do this, and I'll warn you now, you might want to turn the volume down. I'm going to play the trailer. The music is what we would say in the UK is Marmite, which means that you're either going to absolutely love the music. Oops, there we go. Sorry about that. You're either going to love the music or you're really going to hate it, and there's probably not much in the way of a grey area between them. Let's check it out. So now that I've deafened you all and the live view account has gone down to almost 0, let's talk about the project. A scorched post-death exploration, a standalone bridge between MÖRK BORG and Necronautilus. As I said, I never played Necronautilus. I remember the campaign. I remember being wowed by the visual impact of it, but I couldn't get my head around the concept enough to know that it would be worth me buying. I think it would just sit on the shelf, again waiting for someone else to run it, which is not really fair for my shelf or my wallet, to be honest. But it's great. I really love the style of it, and the same goes here. So it's very, very MÖRK BORG style. So let me just go back to here so we can see it. I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes. Standalone tabletop role-playing game for 2 to 6 players, combining the death metal, dark fantasy flavour and mechanics of MÖRK BORG with the themes of death, compulsion and faulty memory from the stoner metal science fantasy game Necronautilus, which, if I recall correctly, is where you basically play as sentient gas clouds, like doing stuff. Necronautilus, that is. In it, heaps of fresh ash and ember gain humanoid form in search of truth and revenge, discovering who they were and who they want to be along their violent way with your creativity and brutality at the helm. And Vass, World Champ Game Company. He's done some really, really cool stuff. If you're not familiar with his work, check it out. You probably have seen it and not realised what's inside. So it's kind of milky-bulky flavour to it, but with new core mechanics. I believe it's completely self-contained, so you don't have to have MÖRK BORG or anything like that. Oh, got some comments. Let's have a look. There we go. Eric says, have we checked out Old Gods of Appalachia yet? Not yet. Probably next week. If you're around, you're welcome to join us. Or alternatively, we can put it in the after party. You're welcome to come along to the after party this evening, Eric, if you're around. Isn't there if there isn't a pledge level of a guy coming round to your house to swing a sword with a death metal soundtrack, then I ain't interested. I mean, the fill level is just that. You know, if I ever do a campaign, I'll have the £2,000 level where I'll come around and swing a sword and have a death metal soundtrack. I don't listen to death metal, but hey, if you're going to pay $2,000, then, then I'll do it. Can't guarantee I'll bring a real sword though, because I ain't getting arrested. Anyway. You get new complete core mechanics for absorbing, channeling, and becoming weapons and intentions through your ashen corpse. You get a unique player class of Ash, a gallery of conflagrating creatures that stand in your way, collections of memories and moments to jumpstart your creativity and stand you on your vengeful pursuits. I'm going to scroll through down to how it works, because this is the thing that really got my brain broken when I was reading this. And I've gone through this quite a few times trying to just process it. It'll make a lot more sense when you've got the book, and I think other people are probably a lot better at the kind of processing this than maybe I am. Your body is composed of reminders, limbs and appendages formed from intense memories, both from your waking life before burning and your bloody adventures in the afterlife. A favoured bloody flail as your head. a loved one's voice as your arm, a heretical cross as your torso. Your skills will do you no good here. You must instead make do with what you have. While challenges feel familiar to experienced role players using 20-sided dice and adding values against difficulty ratings, skill checks are performed using your reminders in lieu of traditional stats. Each use refines and warps your form, exploring the subjectivity and fallibility of your memory while simultaneously sharpening your abilities. Every die roll changes who you are. Grow new appendages as you recall, or make new reminders. Hone and specify their uses as they grow in power, and replace them as they explode in fiery blasts of mastery. And then you've got the artwork. I mean, look at this. This is really cool. It's about as bulky as you can get, but I really like that. Rewards, $5 for following up, $13 for the PDF, $27 for the physical book, which unfortunately is soft cover. I don't think they offer a hardcover, which is a real shame. I think that's a real shame. It's 40 plus pages. Okay, that's not big, but it's bulky, man. I kind of want a hardcover. That's just me, though. And $27 is still, that's fine. Half letter, full color. Yeah. Today I learned Phil will do anything for money. I'll do anything for money, but I won't do that. Eric. Is that the Old Gods of Appalachia linked to the podcast? Maybe. I don't get it. But yeah, we talked about it in Discord, I think. But we'll talk about it. Maybe if Eric is able to join us for the after party, we'll discuss it there. That's in 10 minutes. So if you're not watching on Twitch, come over to Twitch. In fact, I have a banner that tells you exactly where to go. Boom. Come over and talk to us on Twitch. It'll be cool. We're going to have a couple of patrons there from our Patreon. We're going to have people from Discord. We don't do it every week, and this time we're gonna. So that'll be a thing. What do you think of this game? Let me know. And we just bring this back up to some actual art, because that's a really boring place for me to have stopped. As I said before, Adam also made Necronautilus and a few other things as well. There's Adam Vass and Matt Obersky. They know what they're doing. It's going to fulfill. It's going to be a great product. I was going to also see if I could show you the other things that Adam has created, just to give you an idea. So he did Babes in the Wood, this product, Soulburner RPG, Necronautilus, A Guide to Casting Phantoms in the Revolution, and Tome and Wish You Were Here as zines. So they've all been really successful. I've never heard anything bad about them. In fact, I know a lot of people who think Necronautilus is one of the best things ever. Check it out. Check it out, indeed. Yeah, so that is Soulburner RPG. Are you going to back it? Are you interested in it? Let us know in the comments. If you've enjoyed this episode, then please let us know. Please hit like. Please subscribe if you can subscribe. Please ring the bell. You really help. Every time you ring the bell, a small part of me dies as I'm brought into the afterlife as a cheery soul that has one more follower. Yeah, we're trying to level up, and it all helps. I've had a great time this evening. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you to Yoel, to Eric, to Sanjuro, to Venberg, to Klurigama. Yeah, you guys make this worthwhile. I really appreciate it. Hopefully be back in just under 10 minutes over on Twitch with some of our patrons. So yeah, come and chat with us in the comments. We'll see you there. In the meantime, though, for that whole 8 minutes, I've got to say thank you very much for joining, and I hope your dice rolls are way better than mine. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you very soon. Ciao.